And we're back. This is Hook and Ladder. You guys know Brett and Terry.
What's up?
Let's get the party started. We watched the Illinois-Nebraska game together yesterday. Great game. Illinois looks really good. Nebraska, I think they're a quarterback away.
To say the least.
To say the least, yes. But this week we want to discuss a few things. The upcoming scheduled events. Ohio State plays Thursday night with a new quarterback.
CJ Stroud. Probably going to pick up right where they left off. Don't see teams like Ohio State really dropping off. They don't go through rebuilding years. They just reload.
Let's see. And also you got Arizona State playing Southern Utah. Tennessee's playing Bowling Green. And Coastal Carolina is playing the Citadel. What else we got going on here Thursday night? Anything that's really catching your eye?
Boise State at UCF should be an interesting game. 7 o'clock on ESPN. Gus Malzahn at UCF, and Boise State with a new coach. Harson's now at Auburn, so it's kind of, Auburn has a tie-in, I guess, in this game in more ways than one, but it should be kind of a good game.
Let's see. Friday night, we got North Carolina 10 in the country against Virginia Tech. It's a 6 o'clock start. Getting started a little early. And you got the Michigan State against Northwestern, which is a conference game. Be curious to see what Mel Tucker has done with another year under his belt and a full spring and a summer to go along with that.
I'm interested to see in North Carolina. They lost some good skill guys from last year's team, but they picked up some guys in the transfer portal. The running back out of Tennessee, I believe. Forget his name. I keep wanting to say Joe Kelly, but I don't know if that's it. It might be it. It could be wrong. But anyway, they got the running back from Tennessee, the transfer portal, so I'm looking to see how they go with that. I like what Mac Brown's been doing. They've been landing some elite defensive line talent there in the last couple cycles, and it's still continuing this particular recruiting cycle we're in right now. But really looking forward to seeing what the Tar Heels got this season.
How do you feel about the Tar Heels?
Now, I'm not as high on them this year as I was last year.
Yeah.
But I still think that they might be the second best team in the ACC this year.
10 wins are definitely possible.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. Just get to the conference championship. You never know what's going to happen.
Right. Saturday's matchups, first game on the calendar that I see is Oklahoma, number 2 in the country, against Tulane. That you can get a ticket for that game for $21. But yeah, they're actually playing. I guess they're playing in New Orleans. This is location here.
Unless it gets moved.
That's true.
Hurricane Ida's wreaking havoc as we speak.
Yeah. Probably not be New Orleans. Anyway, they are playing at Tulane. That might be a neutral site game. But anyway, Penn State, 19 in the country. Wisconsin. A lot of question marks about this game. Penn State, James Franklin. He needs to win 10 games this year. He may lose his.
I said it on this channel recently. I don't think they're going to fire James Franklin. I think that if he doesn't have a 10-win season, there's going to be some rumblings going on there, especially after how disappointing last year was. I know last year was a COVID year, but they were supposed to be pretty good. And they weren't good at all.
Right.
They kind of got things rolling towards the end of the season there, but I mean, they played like 6 games.
Right.
So I said before, I thought that if they don't have a really good year this year, he's going to be gone. But I don't think they're going to fire him. I think he's going to end up leaving. But to where, I don't know, that's just my feeling. I kind of...
Greener pasture.
Yeah, I kind of look at the way things are going with Penn State. I think he's kind of tapped out there. I don't think, their best team they've had in quite a while, they still couldn't touch Ohio State, really.
Right.
So I know they beat them a couple years ago, but that was more along the lines of, it was kind of a couple of fluke players that they got a little help on.
And sometimes that's exactly what you
Yeah,
need.
it's true.
Kentucky playing Louisiana Monroe. That's noon as well. Michigan, Ken Harbaugh managed to get it done. He needs to have a 10-win season this year. See what else. Kansas State against Stanford. Number 11, Oregon at 2 o'clock against Fresno State.
That'd be a good game. Fresno State is probably going to be the front runner of that conference, and they're playing a Pac-12 powerhouse, Oregon. Fresno State looked really, really good this weekend. I'm interested to see how Fresno State looks against Oregon. I'm interested to see how Oregon looks in general. They're a good team. They have a lot of guys coming back. They've got gifted the Pac-12 championship game last year due to COVID, and ended up having an extra week to prepare for USC and beat them. And then I know they lost in the bowl game to Iowa State, but they didn't look half bad. They've got some talented playmakers. They've been recruiting well. Thibodeau at defensive end is one of the most dominant defensive players in the country. So we'll see how that goes. That'd be a good game to watch. That kind of could set the tone for either team going forward.
Yeah. Big game of the day, one of the big games of the day, Alabama against Miami. We find out what Miami's all about, and can Alabama reload? They're currently ranked number 1 in the country, but we'll see. I expect Alabama to handle Miami.
Yeah, this will be a snooze fest in my opinion. I don't care that Miami's ranked 14. Alabama's going to do what Alabama does whenever they play anybody that's ranked, not ranked number 2 behind them. They're just going to roll them. Might be close through maybe mid to the second quarter, and then they'll pull away. I don't care that Alabama's reloading. They're still going to be dominant. I am not sold on De'Aaron King. I think I'm the only dude in the country who thinks De'Aaron King is an average QB at best. Keep him inside the pocket. He's not going to beat you with his arm.
Make him throw.
And he's coming back from ACL injury that he just tore during the bowl game, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll turn it on, and I'll probably turn it off after the first quarter ends.
Cincinnati is 8 in the country, still getting some favorability from last year's showing. Let's see what else. Number 17, Indiana against number 18, Iowa. That's a 3:30 start. Big Ten Network game. That's a pretty good matchup right there. 2 ranked teams. Moving forward.
I would like to point this out because it was on TV a couple of days ago. Excuse me. Indiana, who I believe was 6-1, ranked number 11 in the country, had almost beat Ohio State. That was like their big game of the year that they lost. They played a 3-5 team, or excuse me, a 4-5 team in the bowl game. 4-5 Ole Miss, and Ole Miss beat them. And it kind of got me thinking that whole, other than Ohio State, excuse me, the Big Ten's a crapshoot. Name me another conference that can put basically your number 2 up against a 4-5 team and lose in a bowl game. That to me that was a pretty big black mark on the Big Ten last year. The whole season for them was a black mark, in my opinion, other than Ohio State. But that was just not a good look. And I watched that game again on TV the other day, and I was kind of like, that just doesn't sit right with me, But they should be pretty good this year, in the Big Ten. That is, they should maybe contend for that division. See what happens. I'm sure it'll be the usual suspects again, but
Well, matchup between 2 ranked teams, Texas, Louisiana, Raging Cajuns. That's 4:00 start, 4:30 start. USC, number 15, playing San Jose State. Auburn will be playing Akron around 7. And that gets us to the matchup of the day. Georgia versus Clemson. Number 3, Clemson against number 5, Georgia in Charlotte.
I thought it was 8 o'clock start, 7:30.
7:30 start. Yes, sir.
Interesting.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought the whole time it was 8 o'clock start.
No, 7:30. 7, 8, split the
Well, Georgia's got a bunch of injuries, and one of them is a key guy, Darnell Washington. Now, I don't really think Darnell Washington was going to be that huge of a deal in the passing game. He's probably going to 2-3 targets the whole game, but he's a really good blocker. Clemson's defensive front is amazing. 2 5-stars on there, Barisi and Miles Murphy, and then the other guy is like KJ Henry, I think it is. He's the other guy they got in there. They got number 47. I can't pronounce his name. That's like Skolsky, the kid who drilled Fields, and then he got tossed for targeting Fields. That kid, he's back for like a 5th or 6th year. Inside linebacker, tons of experience, good player. In my opinion, their best cornerback is now on Georgia, Deion Kendrick. But they're still a loaded defense. Playing of Brent Venables' defense, he's got the entire summer to prepare for Georgia. I don't think Georgia's offensive line's that great, so I think Georgia's going to have a hard time moving the football on them and protecting JT Daniels, who's not the most mobile of guys. I think Georgia's defense is going to hang in there pretty good with Clemson, but I see Clemson winning this game by 13-17 in that range. I just don't think Georgia's going to be able to score on them. I think it is going to be because of the offensive line, and like I said, without Darnell Washington, that's going to hurt the run blocking. And I just don't think Georgia's wide receivers are going to be able to get it done. No George Pickens. Don't know what. So basically, the starting tight end, John Fitzpatrick, might not be playing either. So who knows? You might have the freshman Brock Bowers come in, who's a 5-star. Kid can catch the ball, but he's only 235 pounds, 240 max. How well is he going to be able to block these guys? That's my question. If the offensive line give JT Daniels time to throw, it might be a decent game, because I think Georgia's wide receivers can get open.
Right.
On the other side, we know what DJ can do. All right, I know he played the one game, they lost, but he did throw for more yards in that loss than Trevor Lawrence ever did in his career in one game. Great player, phenomenal athlete. I think their offensive line is a question mark for them as well. No Travis Etienne, but man, they've got a host of other guys. I keep hearing Will Shipley's name mentioned out of practice reports. This kid's going to be awesome, but they're saying he'll play this weekend, but he'll probably win that starting role like around week 5 or 6 kind of deal. So we're not sure how much he'll get him, but all their wide receivers, they're all like 6'3" or bigger. And Georgia's got some good corners, but Tyke Smith, he's out for the game. That's a veteran cornerback. So it'll be Kendrick, and then they'll probably put Ringo, who's never really played much due to injuries. So I'm interested to see how that matchup goes. But I really think this is going to come down to Georgia's offensive line and Clemson's defensive line. Which one of those can stymie the other? And I like I said, I like Clemson by between 14 to 17 points in this game.
I think you like Clemson a little too much. I still think Georgia may lose this game, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than you think. Moving right along, Texas A&M got Kent State. Washington's playing Montana. And the 11:59 game next Saturday, Hawaii against Portland State. We were up at that point in time.
And Utah versus Washington State at 11 o'clock. That should be interesting because Washington State just passed that all students and employees must be vaccinated with the COVID vaccine. And from what I read recently, the head coach of Washington State did not want to get it. And I don't know whether he's changed his mind or what they've done, but that's definitely something to look at during this week and pay attention to, because they might not have a head coach.
There's no telling. There really isn't. Sunday night, you got Notre Dame versus Florida State. That's always been an exciting matchup over the years. Granted, Notre Dame's ranked 9 in the country. Florida State isn't. But you know what? We'll see what happens.
I think Notre Dame's going to take a pretty big step back this year to just replacing a lot of key guys.
Right.
But in Florida State, still not really where they need to be by a long shot. But I'm interested to see how they come out. Both teams really, how they come out. Notre Dame on the one hand, coming off a playoff appearance, losing guys like Ian Book and a handful of other guys. That wide receiver that was so good for them, the Cole Kmet, the tight end that was so good for them. Guys like that, reloading. But what's Florida State going to trot out there? I know they got some talent, but I'm wondering to see what they got trotting out at QB.
They still might be 2 or 3 years away from where they need to be. Monday night, we got Louisville, Ole Miss. Find out what Lane Kiffin's done with his time over the summer and the spring.
I'm on the Lane train.
Okay.
Ole Miss, as I feel about Ole Miss this year, as how I felt about UNC last year. These guys can do some damage because they can throw up some points. Like I said, they beat Indiana, and I think they could have beat Indiana by a lot more if it wasn't for super penalties down in the red zone. But these dudes can put up some points. They don't play much D. If they can get a little bit, you got Auburn's not going to be great. LSU, in my opinion, is going to be down, especially offensively. And defense. And LSU's recruiting amazing.
Right.
They lost a lot of guys over the last 2 years after that national championship run. Everybody went pro. Some of those guys that stepped in, they decided to go pro this year. So they might be ripe for the taking.
Yeah, we don't know how this hurricane is going to affect them.
Yeah, I think they just moved yesterday. I think
they're going to Houston, right?
But A&M is going to be good, and of course Alabama. These guys could play upset. For one of those two teams. I think if things fall the right way for Ole Miss, they might be sitting there at number 2 in the SEC West, hoping that somebody else gets knocked off and maybe get a trip to the SEC championship. I'm not high on them. I'm a believer in Lane Kiffin.
Well, I believe that Alabama's not going to be perfect forever. I think somebody like A&M is going to knock them off. But okay, you're home.
Yeah, I'm high on Ole Miss.
Lane train.
Leaving the station.
That's right. Hopefully he's still employed with Ole Miss in the season.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Anyway,
full on week 1, week 0 was a nice little appetizer.
Yeah, it was good times. Illinois has looked good, and
they lost it. They lost their starting QB midway through the first quarter.
And I think the backup was better.
Backup comes in, and what we were discussing about Nebraska being a quarterback away. credit Brett Bielema for recognizing that the 4-star QB they got was more of an athlete than a quarterback. Moved him to a slot wide receiver. The kid had a touchdown yesterday. Played very well. And then Scott Frost. Dude's been there now how many years?
3 seasons.
They still can't get the quarterback situation figured out.
No.
Every time that dude dropped back to pass, I was like, oh, Illinois got lucky. Because the guy was a runner. Every time he drops back to pass, he was like, okay, this is going to be picked off or it's going to be incomplete because he's not a good throwing quarterback.
And he was like 50% completion percentage. You can't win in college football when your quarterback's not accurate. You can't do it.
They were going into the half with a lead, and he coughed it up for a scoop and score, and the game changed right there. 16 seconds or something before halftime.
Yeah.
So Scott Frost, I dig the guy. I thought he did a great job at UCF. You know, the pseudo 2017 national championships, which is, if you've ever been to Central Florida, that's on their stadium and it's on the campus police cars that they're 2017 national champions. But I like what he did at UCF. They were fun to watch.
I think he's the right guy for Nebraska. I just don't know if he's ever going to be able to get the talent he needs to compete. And he needs a quarterback. He needs a stable of quarterbacks.
If they let him stick around, I mean, I know that they got to be close to wanting to pull the plug on that. He's definitely got to be on the hot seat. But as I said yesterday, Nebraska's the kind of program, they're not going to land a bunch of elite talent. You know, they're not going to land a whole bunch of 4- and 5-star guys. They're going to have to get those 3-star guys under the radar, maybe land a 4-star or 2, get some of those big offensive linemen from the Midwest that are under the radar, coach them up, string together 2 to 3, 7 or 8 win seasons in a row, and build off that. And if they can get those string of winning seasons, maybe they can do something more. Because that side of the Big Ten, who else they got to compete with? Wisconsin? You know, they might be ready to go. I mean, we watched Wisconsin last year. The quarterback showed some promise, but they didn't have the running backs like they used to.
Right.
So maybe Nebraska can do something. I just don't think it's this year.
No. Well, I guess that's conclude this week's episode. We'll be back next Sunday or Monday. Just depends on what's going on, because who knows what the weekend holds. But we'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah,
you guys have a good week.
Yeah, enjoy week 1. It's gonna be a fun one.
All right, we're back. College football. Woo! All right. Catch you guys later.
See ya.